Katie viewers, the Colonel speaking to you live from the Grange, British Imperial YouTube Broadcasting. Taking a Parlophone record R1367, Truly Rural, by Ronald Frankau. Here we go. There's a slight chip on this record, sadly.
You must forgive my laughing, but it's so funny. The other day I did something I hadn't done for years. I fell off a bicycle. You see, I'd gone down to the country to stay with a cousin of mine who keeps a pig in a haystack and a wife and that sort of thing. And he lives in a large house in one or two of the shires. My father used to breed those things, you know. Large cart heights. Horses, I mean, with hairy legs. He used to show them at the agricultural doings with short horns. I don't mean the horses had short horns. It's the name of a special kind of cow. Anyway, my cousin's house is in the heart of the country. Only one picture house, which is on Fridays, used by the local highbrows. They have a lecture on the art of China one week and on chamber music the next. So confusing. My cousin's house is a lovely old building standing in its own grounds. I always think that's much better than standing in somebody else's, don't you? It's got lovely facades, well, FAC with a 5 underneath, ADEF. And there's a gargoyle. Oh no, that's my aunt. Anyway, I'd been there nearly a week, and one day I met a girl I hadn't met since I was a boy. She was a Miss Adams then, and we used to go out bicycling together. In fact, this is really a psychological story. You see, in those days we were awfully in love, but I was only 16, so I didn't know much, and of course Miss Adams didn't, and we used to kiss a lot. Well, there wasn't any harm in that, or not much. And sometimes I used to hold her bicycle and that sort of thing. I'd have done anything for that girl, and I nearly did, but we drifted apart. I married young and often. In fact, I went in for matrimony and alimony, and I forgot all about Fanny. That's her first name. Till we met again. She'd married, of course, and her name's now Mrs. Smacklethwaite. She told me her husband was alive and kicking. I was rather worried about the latter, but she said it wasn't at people, but over traces. So he got on famously then. Fanny told me she was doing a lot of social work for the local vicar. Apparently sometimes he sat on her committee and sometimes she sat on his. This made me rather jealous. I wanted to go out cycling again with her to recapture that first fine carless rapture. At first she was a bit frightened. I think Mrs. Smacklethwaite remembered how I used to kiss her and hold her bicycle, and she said things might go too far. I said that was impossible if we loved each other. Anyway, I got my cousin to get his bike out of the stable, and away we sped, ringing our bells like anything. That happened every day until one day our husband, Mr. Smacklethwaite, met us suddenly, and I found Fanny had lied about him kicking over traces. It was over bicycle saddles. When I got up, I realized what a fool I'd been. I did wish I'd never tried to let Mrs. Smacklethwaite replace my tender memories of sweet Fanny Adams. That's what she was called. Wasn't it funny, though? Falling off a bicycle wasn't so ridiculous. Talking of the country, here's rather a sweet song entitled The Spinster. A spinster decided to keep a hen. Well, first it was 1, and then it was 10. She went down to the village to get the birds. The poultry seller and she had words. I want 10 hens and 10 cocks, the spinster said. The poultry keeper scratched his head. 10 cocks, he said. Oh, that's never done. You're having 10 hens, miss. You'll only want 1. I want 10 hens and 10 cocks, was the spinster's reply. I know what it's like to be passed by.
Well, he got very, very close to being in rather poor taste there, didn't he? Reminds me of something that happened to me. I knew a girl out in the country once, a rather gracious country house. Unfortunately, her father caught us in flagrante, sadly, and came after me with a pitchfork. Fortunately, I didn't get the point. Thank you, viewers, and bye.